Hello, everybody, and welcome to F1 Down Under. My name's Hayley, and this is my dad.
Hi, I'm Matt.
So let's talk about Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari.
Yeah, big shock.
Big shock. So, the thoughts of the release being so early.
Yeah, I mean it's they haven't even driven this season yet, and they're
No.
talking about next season. So that's
It's mind-blowing.
yeah,
I can't remember being a release date. You get the mid-season, but not even before the
no.
season started.
The only one I can remember is Sebastian Vettel was told, that Ferrari didn't want him um, when there was the COVID affected season, and so then he drove the whole of that season knowing that he wasn't wanted. But that was the team making that decision,
Not the driver.
not the driver. So yeah, this looks like on everything I've seen and heard that this was very much Lewis driving a decision, wanting to go to Ferrari.
Maybe before Sainz gets the contract because his season runs out in 2024.
Yeah, I think that's probably helped.
So
I think that is one of the main reasons.
it could be from like both ends, both team and Ferrari and Lewis saying this is your chance to get a Ferrari seat if you would like it.
Yeah, I think it has been that really small window, and it needed to get sorted before
Carlos.
What they did with Carlos. Carlos was putting pressure on to get his Ferrari contract renewed, which obviously now it won't be. He was right after Charles Leclerc's was extended, so obviously I think that's kind of pushed all the timing to make it come out so clear. And I think with something as big as it is, you can see how much. I mean, even it leaked before there was the official announcement, so it had to come out
I think
before the season
otherwise
started.
it would have been kept more secret if it hadn't have leaked, do you think?
Well, I think there would have been questions all the time. Why hasn't Carlos Sainz had his contract agreed? I think there's all of those things that mean that it had to be done and sorted. I think Lewis is at an age where he's looking, saying, well, wherever my next kind of contract is, it's probably going to be, or likely to be, his last one, particularly if it's got a length of years.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting seeing Toto Wolff talk about the fact that, they had this 1-year deal with a possible extension, and that could have benefited both. So I think Mercedes did have, I don't think maybe they were thinking they would have to do it this year, but they were certainly had an eye to the future about what happens when Lewis finishes. And Lewis had said, and I've seen him in previous interviews, hadn't he? He'd said about, you don't know, he's got the desire now, but that might disappear. So I think Mercedes were trying to protect themselves with that shorter contract, but I think it's probably backfired a little bit now because Lewis has gone, hey, Ferrari are going to give me a big contract.
Big contract, so that's that for
Ferrari. The flow-on effect of that, and who I feel like, I feel sorry for Mercedes? No, because they created that
escape clause.
That clause. I think I feel sorry for Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, because Carlos Sainz is an amazing driver. He's very consistent, and he deserves a seat in Formula One.
Yeah.
But it's just if he will get a seat in Formula One for 2025.
Yeah, having seen him perform, I think he's actually been a better driver for Ferrari than Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's quick. He's done these pole positions, but consistently in races, I think Carlos Sainz is a better race driver. I'm old. It reminds me, you won't know about this, Heidi. It kind of reminds me a little bit of sort of Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. Ayrton Senna was really quick, no denying he was a great driver. I think, Charles Leclerc has that spark about him, but I see
Sainz has got that patience. He can wait. He can do the long game, whereas I don't think Charles can.
No, and I think that's like Prost. If Prost was nicknamed the Professor because he thought about things, and there's definitely been some of the. If I look back at the Grand Prix in 2023, there were definitely occasions where Carlos Sainz was working things out from the cockpit, where what the strategy should be, making those calls. I think that's how he ended up winning. That's how he won Singapore. He was clever enough to keep Lando Norris behind him in the DRS. so that it meant that George and then Lewis couldn't get past. So, I think
he's a very
I'd feel
smart driver.
yeah.
So I definitely think if Mercedes were looking for a smart driver, they would be on the lookout for.
I mean, I think he would be a great pickup to go into a team. I know there's lots of talk about Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, and a lot of the pundits were all saying, "Oh yeah, it'd be great to see Fernando Alonso in."
Alex Albon, I think, would also be a good pick because he's picked up most of the points for Williams, and he's part of that Mercedes family.
Yeah, I think Albon is probably the strongest alongside Sainz. I think people have this romantic idea about Alonso, but if Toto Wolff was only prepared to give Lewis Hamilton, who is younger than Alonso, a 1 year plus one deal, I can't see him giving a contract to Alonso. As much as Alonso's still a great driver, I think he's always going to have in the back of the mind that age factor now is going to be a major stumbling block. So I'm sure Alonso is probably trying to tap up Toto, but I can't see.
But I think there's a lot of drivers as well that run out their contracts this year.
Yeah,
we've got Perez, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Bottas, Kevin Magnussen, Hulkenberg. But all the drivers basically have their contracts run out. So
yeah, and there's a lot in that list there that you give that they've got their own performances to worry about. They've got their own things to do through this season. So I know there'll be pressure on Mercedes to make an announcement as who the replacement's going to be. But if I was Toto, I'd be hanging on a little bit, I think.
See how the season goes, but try and get the drivers in, or even get a brand new driver and buy off maybe Liam Lawson from Red Bull.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few in the wings that are there. I don't think there'll be anyone who would get immediately promoted from that Formula 2 train, but I think they're much more likely to go into one of the lower teams and then stuff shuffle up. But it's I think there'll be a lot of pressure.
There's going to be a lot of pressure this year to perform so you can get that spot in Mercedes, I think.
But there'll be a lot of pressure on Toto. I think there'll be a lot of fans' pressure for Mercedes to make a decision quickly. But I think if Toto is sensible, I think he's going to wait and see how some of these the first few races pan out. There's a lot of time left, 24 races to go before we can see that. So I think they'll want to do it sooner rather than later.
And you never know. Some of the drivers that already have their signed contract might want to negotiate with Toto.
Well, that's it. There are always options and get out clauses. I mean, the whole thing with Oscar Piastri going to McLaren after Alpine announced him and all of those things and the clauses and different things. They've just got to take it steady there, and I think just let a few races settle in and see how it starts to proceed.
And to finish off, do you think Lewis made the right call to move to Ferrari?
Did he make the right call? It's hard to me because I've never been a Ferrari fan. I've watched Grand Prix a long time, and I've always, I don't know, there's something about Ferrari that I get why there are lots of people are fans, but that's almost always put me off. So on a purely personal basis, it's a bit of a shame. But I think for Lewis and that desire to drive for such a big name, I think it probably is the right call.
I agree. I've never been a Ferrari fan. I respect the team, but he was going downhill and the team wasn't listening to him, Mercedes. So, and he wasn't winning the championships, didn't have any podiums. So, or even a race win in the last couple of years, not challenging, yet he was still scoring points and managed to get the team second in the championship. So I think he needed a clean slate or retire. I think that was his two options. He needed a new start.
Yeah. I don't think he'll regret moving. I mean, if he goes and Mercedes do have a real boost of form,
you never know.
It's for the next generation of drivers to make the most of that, I think. I think he's always had that desire to at least put those red overalls on. So, he doesn't want to have those regrets when he retires and said, "Oh, I wish I
Done that
could have, should
Ferrari.
have, would have gone to Ferrari." Well, he's made that choice, so he certainly won't have that regret when it comes to the end of his career that he won't have ever driven for Ferrari. So whether Ferrari can capitalise on him, hopefully they can. Fred Vasseur seems a bit more switched on. They're starting to get a bit of stability in the team. So
I'm with Charles. I'm with Charles as well. I think 2025 will be interesting. 2024 will be even more interesting as well, with all the shuffle around domino effect with Lewis moving next year.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how all that pans out.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
So this has been F1 Down Under. See you in the next video. Bye.